So one day I got an email from work with the structures, and I realized that my position was no longer there. My job was no longer there. It had been removed. And at that time, I had 6 years post article experience. I am a chartered accountant by profession. So I was even quite shocked that so I can be a chartered accountant and be at risk of losing my job, meaning that I'm going to become unemployed. And also at that time, I was pregnant with my second child, and I was kind of like the breadwinner at that particular time at my home. So I was going through so many emotions. So I realized that it meant that I had to find a job. I had to look for a job, because if it meant that my position was no longer there, it meant that I had to be applying for other roles that were below me, meaning that I had to be applying for a demotion, or it meant that I could take a voluntary retrenchment or apply for a voluntary retrenchment. But looking at my age, it's not something that they would approve quite easily. So when I also saw my boss being demoted, I realized that this is a reality for us. Like, this is getting worse than I had thought, because now the organization was going through a restructuring, and this was during the time of COVID. But with the organization, every 3 years, it normally goes through a restructuring, and many people lose their jobs. I saw people that I know losing their jobs as well, while they had like certain qualifications. I saw people, and also when I entered the organization, my first year of being employed, I saw people, CAs, chartered accountants, being demoted, people who had so much experience just becoming like senior accountants. But with a demotion, as much as you don't lose your salary, you lose the benefits, and those benefits are what makes your salary even to become way more. You end up losing them. So I contacted people within the organization that I had worked with in the past, managers that I had worked with in the past, to see if they can slot me in somewhere. And they were quite willing to slot me in somewhere. That's why it's important to be building those relationships when you are in there, because you don't know when you are going to need those people again. So they were willing to find me something within their teams or within the other teams, but also in the department where I worked, they were still willing to have me. They wanted to still be working with me, although now the role was a lower role. It was like a position of a business analyst. I was like a senior business analyst before, but now it meant that I had to be downgrading to being a business analyst. And me downgrading to becoming a business analyst, it also meant that now my colleagues were at risk of not being employed, because I was taking their position. So now people who were very close to me now were also at risk of not having their jobs. So it was quite a hectic moment. But what I liked about when the restructuring started to happen, it's like I was ready for it. I was ready. I was prepared for it, because a couple of months before the restructuring started, I changed my mindset. I no longer just only wanted to rely on my employment. I started other things. I was like, I had kind of like an exit plan that I wanted to be exiting corporate. So now when these things began to unfold, they began to happen, it was at that time where I had given myself that time frame that by this time I need to be resigning. But when the time came, I felt like, no, there's no way I can be resigning, because I am not ready. The things that I have started behind the scenes are not yet making me sufficient money, so there's no way I can be resigning. But at that particular time, that's when the voice of God became so clear to me that it's time to move. It's time for me to be moving. The things have happened the way they've happened, so that I can be moving, and not moving empty-handed, but moving with a retrenchment package, because I could qualify for a retrenchment package. So I applied for voluntary. So I applied for voluntary retrenchment, and it got accepted, but they wanted me to work for a further 6 months. So I worked the 6 months, and then I exited corporate. But one thing that I can advise people who are still employed or yet to be employed, or if you are about to be losing your job due to a retrenchment, is that please don't only just focus on your job. Find other things that can make you an income, because job security doesn't exist. It doesn't matter what your qualification is. I've seen it in my organization. People who were qualified, had over 20 years working experience, being dismissed, being told that their positions no longer exist and it was over, and they were not ready to be moving out. So as much as, yes, you are loyal to the company, build those relationships, and also make sure that you have something that you are doing on the outside for the rainy days as well.